I want to catch my breath because I want to touch on a very, very controversial subject. Start out with a very controversial illustration. My point is not to be controversial. It's just that it's just been so much in the news here lately that my mind has been a little bit absorbed in what's been taking place. I'm a little bit of a news junkie. And although I've stopped watching live broadcasts of the news because I get too a little bit fired up, I keep up with it through newspapers, online news agencies, and whatnot. And it really has been foremost in my mind, especially this week, as events unfolded in this case. And ironically, it has a very deep impact on our subject today. You know, for the past 3 weeks, we've been studying on Wednesdays the book Steps to Christ and how to have a deeper relationship with Jesus. And so the sermons are coinciding with the chapters. So today we're on chapter 3, and the subject is repentance. Repentance. So if you've been keeping up in the news, a little over a year ago, Amber Geiger is a 30-year-old woman from Texas, and at that time, she was a 4-year veteran of the Dallas Police Department. If you're not familiar with the story, I'll give just a very brief story of what happened. She had a long day and was extremely tired, and she went home to her apartment. She was dressed in her uniform, and she noticed that the door to what she believed her apartment was open. At least one of the reports that says that. So immediately she drew her weapon and went in the door, and as she opened the door, she saw a man coming towards her. She fired 2 shots at that man, and before the night was over, he was dead. What made this even more ironic was that was not her apartment. She had gone a floor extra and had opened the door to the wrong apartment. What makes it even more volatile is the racial dynamics that take place. You know, we have a lot of very passionate discussions concerning race. And it just so happened that Amber Geiger is a white female, and the man that she shot was a black man. Immediately, those of us who sometimes are news junkies, we want to begin absorbing all that, and you know, we quickly become armchair quarterbacks of what exactly went on, and our minds begin spinning, and sometimes they get even more, well, I'll just say from my mind, it gets overloaded really easily, and sometimes it's really hard to decipher what exactly went on with so many conflicting reports. And then, you know, if you're like me, you like to keep up the news, you really need to discern what is actually what happened and what is people trying to stir the pot because they have an agenda in mind. Does that make sense? And you know, I think it was about a little over 20 years ago. I remember reading a book that was recommended. I used to love to listen to National Public Radio, and there was a book at that time that came out called News and the Culture of Lying. And the basic premise of the book was that news is no longer a altruistic service where they want to report the truth. News has become so sophisticated that it's become business. And so that many times news reports, and this is over 20 years ago, many times the news agencies are out to make a profit as opposed to objectively report what is taking place. So if you're a news junkie like me, what is really the truth? Well, a year later, this very unfortunate incident took place a little over a year ago. Now, a year later, Amber's court trial has finally come to an end. And just this week, she was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. You know, this is one of those no-win situations for Amber and for the family. Could you imagine what it would be like to have a close family member killed by someone who is sworn to protect you from harm and danger? Just wrap that around your head. And then you multiply it by all the other things that are being out there, and it gets really crazy sometimes. It gets absolutely really crazy. But the bottom line is that she was convicted. And during her trial, she was asked by her attorneys to take the stand in her own defense, which is a very crazy thing to do. Many people don't like seeing that because things can go south very, very quickly. But Amber had this to say concerning why she responded and acted the way she did and how she felt about it. She said, "I hate that I have to live with this every single day of my life, and I ask God for forgiveness, and I hate myself every single day. I never wanted to take an innocent person's life, and I'm so sorry." What do you say to something like that? Just an absolute tragedy.